Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, episode 17. Thank you to the BJJ box. My VIP box came yesterday. They gave me this really cool mask. I'm not going to keep it on for the show, but I wanted to give them a shout out. Got the cool new Nuaza t-shirt as well. Always repping them on the backdrop as well. Let me take this off because it's just really weird. So again, welcome back, everybody. Jiu-Jitsu Dummies episode 17. Sponsored by Fightback CBD. Get 15% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com. You can use code JJD. This is Bo. This is our second quarantine show. so it's me by myself with this gentleman on the screen that I'm going to introduce you to just momentarily. Obviously, don't have the crew here. We're practicing our social distancing, so it is what it is. But we've got a really cool guest for you guys today. This is TJ Blitz Kreutzer. He's the Vice President and Director of National Ambassador Network and Training Facilities for We Defy. And probably this is the first time. This is probably the first and only time that I'll ever do this. F16 Pilot, fighter pilot. Is that right? Yeah. I'm going to let you go into that. I don't want to butcher your resume, but sure. But TJ, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Go ahead and why don't you? I'm going to let you do the honor. Give us your name, rank, serial number. Tell us all. not everything, but I don't want to butcher your resume. Go ahead.
Sure. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and spent my whole life there until I was 18 years old. And then the day after that, I went to the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
I graduated there, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Air Force, and got a pilot slot. So I trained in Wichita Falls, Texas, at a NATO program to be a fighter pilot.
Okay.
Went from there to Arizona, flew the F16, and then flew in Korea. I flew in Utah, and then did a deployment to Iraq. Came back, became an instructor pilot, and eventually joined the Air Force Reserve. Stayed as an instructor pilot for a while, and started a normal person job as an airline pilot.
Okay. All right.
When I started that job and I had a little more free time on my hands, I found out about this thing called Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So actually it was more like 2011, 2012, I got into Muay Thai and some other MMA conditioning.
Okay.
And eventually decided to I really did all stand up until 2015. And then at that point I thought I'd like to get more serious about some sort of combat sport. But some of my doctors were talking about my career and the concussion risk in stand-up. So a recommendation came, why don't you try grappling instead? Okay. Let's go with that part. And I was not that interested. It didn't look fun. It looked awful. It looked terrible.
Sweaty men dripping sweat dripping all over you. Yeah. Didn't sound interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it did not look fun. And I hitting stuff. But at that recommendation, this makes sense. Maybe this is the balance between a career and a hobby. Mm-hmm. And I started tinkering with it, and then before long, I was like, I fully committed to it. I stopped.
Gotcha. It gets you.
It did. I didn't hit any more heavy bags, no more pad work, because I thought, I only got so much time to work, and I'm old. So got this many. I got a timeline now to try to accomplish whatever I can.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do that, I need to focus. So I threw myself into jiu-jitsu, and I stopped all, I still lift, still doing other kinds of stuff to supplement it, but combat sport wise, that's all I train anymore.
I tell everybody jiu-jitsu is, you either love it or you hate it. There's no like, well, let me go lift today. It's not like that. It's not like, well, let me go. Haven't been to jiu-jitsu in a couple months. I'm going to go this week. It's all or nothing, and you just can't really do it any other way.
Well, that's how I started, was once or twice a week, and I didn't feel like I was progressing.
Yeah.
And as my body became, better tempered for it, I was able to train more and more, and that's when I finally saw, improvement, consistent improvement, that I could feel it, I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Versus, going into the gym once or twice a week and relearning how to do a triangle every time I go to the gym.
Yeah, and then that's what happens. And it feels really weird. I know for myself, I just found out I have an ACL and MCL tear. So with the coronavirus and not being able to go into surgery anytime soon, it's a good year before I'll be able to train again.
Well, that's the thing. Is so many people right now, all those little nicked up injuries and things. You know, I get things. I play a lot of rubber guard and no-gi, and man, my hips I got flexibility, but there's still weaknesses and deficiencies in those muscles. So I'm in the basement right now trying to strengthen that stuff up. Yeah. Because especially with my age, I have to stay on top of it. Yeah. And now I have the time.
How old are you now?
40. I'll be 43 in June.
Okay. 47 myself. So I'm up. I get that whole, we've got this small window to do what we want to do before, the little aches and pains really start to get you. I'm trying to fight it at every angle. I'm upset that I'll be out for the year, but back to hitting the bag, weights, as much as I could do in the house right now. So what's your belt rank?
4-stripe blue belt.
Okay.
So that's the hard part about sitting out right now, because you're right on the edge of the next, next promotion whenever that happens. And
you compete.
Yeah, I have. I won no-gi worlds in 2018 at blue belt in my age group. And I was all ready to go for pans, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
So.
Cancel. Where are you currently training? Let's give them a shout out.
Minnesota top team up in.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
you. Minnesota top team.
Okay.
In Eagan, Minnesota. It's a suburb in Minneapolis, and we're a member of an M Theory affiliation, which is a incredibly good competition team up here. They're phenomenal, and we send teams to worlds and pans every people come back with medal every time. Yeah. It's an incredible team for this part of the country. Okay. And we're a Pedro Sauer affiliate.
Oh, okay. I was just watching his video this morning where he fights the weightlifter. Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Somebody just posted. It came up in my feed this morning. It's like a good 4-6 minute video of him fighting that weightlifter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, everybody go check that out. Just Google him. So. Normally, I mentioned this before. Normally, we have a group of people here. We do these jiu-jitsu roundtables. I just want to kind of give you or let everybody know who hasn't been listening or who hasn't heard me tell the story before. Normally, again, it's Junior, Janet, myself, Mauricio, Endor, Raul. Almost everybody involved with the show is either a Marine or Janet's married to a Marine who just retired. We had been giving Mission 22 shout outs. Then he says, we got to shout out We Defy. So he hadn't mentioned the entire time we were doing the show, or since I've known him, that he was a We Defy ambassador. So we got to make sure he does a better job. So I said, that would be really cool. It would be really cool if the show could be an ambassador. And I basically signed up as me, and we were just discussing this before we went on air. My intent was really for the show to be the ambassador. I'm great with my name, me being an ambassador, but want to make sure that this podcast is the sounding board, is the soapbox that I can stand on, that Junior can stand on, that you guys can come on and tell us what's going on, keep us up to date. Let's get more ambassadors, just really spread the word. So again, for those of you who didn't know, that's how we got started. I filled out an application on your website. And I went through a little bit of a process with Anthony, Anthony would be considered what, like a regional? Yeah,
regional. He's got the Southeast. So he lives in Virginia. He was our Rocky Mountain ambassador, but he just moved to Virginia a little while ago. And he's a volunteer. The whole ambassador network is all volunteers. It's not a paid staff.
Very cool.
There's about 80 of them now, and they're broken up into 7 regions.
How many?
About 80.
About 80. Very cool. So hopefully we can get people to sign up. And, one of my questions was, and it did come up on the application, do you have to have a military background to do this?
Sure. And you don't. No, it's, there's a lot of people that are ambassadors that have a military background because they understand where that cross section is between the jiu-jitsu culture and the military culture. They fit together incredibly well.
Yeah.
But people that are ambassadors just have to have a passion for jiu-jitsu and for taking care of other people.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea. And yes, we have a very specific group of recipients. It's veterans, disabled veterans. And that's what I mean by disabled doesn't mean necessarily that they're missing, an arm or a leg. Disabled means that the VA has looked at their medical history and assigned them a disability rating that gives them a certain amount of compensation, a small amount for their injuries that they incurred in service. But there's all kinds of disability ratings, whether they're for physical or for emotional or mental health, things that have come up from service. So if you have a passion for helping those people with jiu-jitsu, you might be a fit for that, for an ambassador position.
Okay. So get online and fill out that application. It took, I think I got an email from you first within about a week or two. And then I spoke to Anthony pretty quickly after that. I think maybe the Corona stuff slowed, I don't know if it slowed anything down, but I know that, my last email, you've been accepted. What's your T-shirt size? And waiting on my I was hoping I'd have a T-shirt to wear today, but you're repping for both of us. So okay. So you become an ambassador. Let's talk a little bit about the typical ambassador, or is there a typical ambassador? What are the expectations? What do you want that person doing for you?
The biggest thing we want them doing is outreach, number one, and then number two with that is securing funds. Most of our ambassadors are able to do grassroots fundraising. What I mean by that is helping to set up local seminars or local open mats. We do we're trying to do an open mat push twice a year. We were planning on Memorial Day. We'll see what happens with that. And then in November for Veterans Day, we did Veterans Day last year. It was hugely successful.
Okay.
Grappling Industries allows us to have a booth for free at any of their tournaments. And some of the Fuji coordinators have allowed us to do that as well. There's a few other promotions that have allowed us to do that, sometimes local. Okay. Those are that's kind of the biggest way, the most common way for ambassadors to help us. But a lot of ambassadors have different skill sets. Like you've got this medium that we don't have access to through much of ambassadors. We've got one ambassador who kind of focuses on working on our blog. Okay. We've got with kind of different functional groups, maybe not official titles, but people pick up roles. And as we move forward, we're a small organization. Yeah. As we define more roles and people stand up, they pick them up. So we kind of utilize whatever skill set they have because we're all volunteers. Okay. So we don't hire for paid staff. It's what do you bring and how can we use it?
Yeah. So I mean, we've already spoken about that. To be clear, whatever you guys need from us, whether it's you were my first contact, and I definitely, with you being the lead on the ambassador program, I definitely wanted to have you on first, but we'd love to have throughout the year, have you guys come on, tell us what's going on, what's changing, what do you need from the public, what do you need from us? Again, this is what I bring to the table. Junior has his skill set. I mean, he's an actual veteran. So the two of us together, I mean, he's again, and I wish he was here, but he definitely fills me in on the things that I don't know and that I should know. Yeah, for sure. When it comes to how and what I should be saying, and just really introducing me to We Defy to start. So, so I know that there's part of an interesting your story on how you found We Defy. Right, I'll let you tell the story, but I believe that you came across or trained with a disabled veteran, and then you found We Defy through that experience. Correct? You want to go ahead and tell us that story?
Yeah, sure. So because I'm an airline pilot, I travel a lot. So I started throwing a gi in my bag and would just train wherever. And I was training in Chicago at the Downtown Loop Adam Redzovic gym. And after class, I spoke to a veteran, an Army veteran who had come back from Iraq in the middle of a divorce, a lot of financial troubles, PTSD, having a very hard time holding a job and just really struggling. And he said the one thing that was helping him or that kept him grounded was jiu-jitsu. And as we talked, I have a psychology background. And I have, even though I'm a pilot, I have a layman's interest in counseling and trauma management, trauma recovery, and things like that. So we talked a lot about some of the things he was dealing with. And I think what's interesting with trauma management is that when you're in a traumatic situation, your fight or flight system is obviously, it's on, but your body and your brain are trying to do one thing, and that's usually survive on some level. And when you're in a mode like that, the normal values that we have as human beings, like trying to protect the people we love, trying to protect children, play by the rules, all those things. It's almost impossible to honor all of those things at once in a trauma situation. So you have to honor, or your body and your brain try to honor the most important. And I'm not a licensed psychologist or a VA health counselor, but from my layman's study of this stuff, the term moral injury is used to describe things of that nature, and it can be tied to PTSD. So in talking, we talked about how when you come back from combat and you see things or have to do things that you wouldn't normally have to do in normal life, when you're there, a lot of times it all makes sense. But retroactively, human beings tend to judge their behavior by the value set that they are using at the time. So when people come back, sometimes they reapply some of the values, or they think other people will apply their values to their decisions. That leads to potentially a lot of emotional challenges relating to other people. So when we talked about these kinds of concepts, that veteran and I figured out, or he said to me, is like, that the way you just posed that to me was a way I've never heard anybody phrase it or frame it before. Mm-hmm. And it's very helpful for me to understand some of the things I'm going through and why I feel like I've had such challenges here. Maybe you should get involved somewhere and start trying to help people, because it was very useful. And that planted a bug for me. Like, okay, I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what. And that started it.
Okay. And
then about a year later, maybe 6 months later, there was an event in Minneapolis called Twin Cities Invitational, where they brought up, it was a super fight event and a series of seminars. And We Defy Foundation ended up being a beneficiary of that event. And Alan Chabarro came up. He was on the board. Brian Marvin was here. He was on the board. And Alan Chabarro is also one of the founders in Dallas. Okay. And the headquarters is at his gym. And then Brian Marvin at the time was the president, and he's based in Houston. A couple other people came up, and that's when I heard about what We Defy Foundation did. And if you don't know what we do, we sponsor disabled veterans to train jiu-jitsu for a year as a form of therapy and community to deal with some of their challenges. And when I saw what that was, that's it. That's what I want to do. So I asked around there and tried to see, is there any way I can help? And the Mission 22 was there too. And that was neat too. I like, wow, both of these organizations are what I would want to be involved in. And then when I started looking into them both a little deeper, I gravitated towards We Defy Foundation, because Mission 22 does a lot of things, and We Defy Foundation is jiu-jitsu. And that's what I wanted. And it plays back to why did I stop stand-up training? Well, it was because I wanted to focus. I wanted more bang for my buck. And I knew if I focused on jiu-jitsu, I would be better at jiu-jitsu instead of spreading myself too thin. And that's how I felt about getting involved in We Defy Foundation. That's what I wanted to do. But at the time, they didn't have an ambassador network. It was basically the board and a few other people trying to run this program. And I didn't know, but they were just starting to put together a framework for an ambassador network. So about 2 months later, my best friend lives in Dallas. So we flew down there on a vacation. And I basically showed up at Alan Chabarro's gym and said, hey, I want to help. And I want to be involved, but I don't know how. And he said, well, we are starting an ambassador network. That might be a way you can do it. And he said, what you're going to want to do is get in touch with someone named Gina Franson. Like, Gina from Minnesota, Gina? Yeah, do you know her? Like, well, I don't know her, but I know of her. I'm from Minnesota. And she's a gym owner here. And she was at least the first female black belt in Minnesota. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the Midwest. I know for sure in Minnesota. So I already knew of her by reputation, and she just happened to be local. So when I went home, I got in touch with her, and then that's how I became an ambassador first, and then became the Midwest representative, or a Midwest ambassador, and then became the national coordinator. And then in November, I was asked to be on the board and pick up that role.
Very cool. Okay. So we talked about the ambassador side. What about the veteran side? How do they, normal interaction with you? How do they find you? What do they need to do? Let's talk to those guys for a second.
Well, veterans that have a 80% or greater rating are eligible for the program, and they apply on the website. We're holding off right now on accepting more applications because we have a waiting list, and we want to make sure that we can service the veterans that we approve in a timely fashion versus having people wait on a list. I think one thing that veterans have to deal with is that there's a lot of people that say they want to help, but there's a lot of need. And a lot of times veterans have to wait for the help. So one thing that we've done recently to try to deal with that on our end is let's hold off on accepting more applications and help who we can while we can. And as we gain more funding, get more resources, we'll open that up more and more. But then we'll announce when we're opening the pool up again to try to bring in more veterans. What they do is they apply, they do a video and some other things in accordance with the application. They have to have a honorable discharge and stuff like that. And then the athlete coordinator looks through the application and vets everything, approves them, and then we get them set up with a gym that's either on our approved list that's local to them, or if there's not a gym, I go out and I find one and vet it and make sure that it would be a good fit. And then that ends up being a place that we can place that veteran. And then what we do is we pay the veteran's tuition for a full year. And one thing we're doing right now that all the gyms are closed, but we as the board, our fundraising is slowed down a lot too, just like everything else in the world. But we decided we're going to keep paying the gyms that are closed right now for that full year, the whole time they're closed, until either that scholarship is done and those planned payments are finished, or if we run out of funds, then we'll find ways to fundraise again at some point, and we'll continue to pay at that. But our focus is paying those gyms now, so they keep getting some sort of income, even if it's just a little bit. And then after gyms open up, we hope that they will allow those veterans to train for the amount of time that they missed.
Okay.
But like I said, a veteran would apply through our website, get approved, and then we pair them up with a gym. And that gym becomes their home.
Okay.
That's kind of that's where that support network is. Because we're a small organization, and there's only so much we can do to actually provide for their needs, but it's the people in your everyday life that make a difference. The ones you're rolling on the mats with, the ones who you're making friendships with, the ones you're communicating with and connecting with in a way that you didn't know you could, especially if they didn't have a military background. I think that trust issue is difficult for veterans, and that's where the benefit of the program comes from. It's being with that community in that gym that they are paired up with.
So you've got the ambassadors, you've got the vets. Now, could you go into a little bit more? I know you say you vet them, but how does a gym get on your radar? Is it typically a suggestion? Is it typically you reaching out? Are you guys actively reaching out to gyms to find more, or do they come to you?
A lot of times they come to us, and I don't accept everybody all the time. There was a time when we did as we were growing, but we have 250 gyms and about 60 veterans that we can provide a scholarship for per year. We usually have between 40 and 50, maybe 55 that are actually on a scholarship at any given time, because people get hurt. Occasionally, people decide they don't want the scholarship. Once in a while that happens, so we're not always up at 60, even though that's our goal, is to fund that many per year.
So if somebody opts out, would stop making payments to the gym? I mean, that's the gym would understand that. It's
rare, but that's what happens. Yeah. So if that happens, then we backfill with a new athlete. We try to put 5 in per month. Okay. But the gyms, the thing is, people volunteer all the time. They want to be a part of it. It's, I think, a challenge for a nonprofit of our size is when people raise their hand, you can only utilize what you can utilize. And making sure that what they're offering you is in conjunction with your needs is a challenge. It's a great problem to have, but it's still a problem, because you can be overwhelmed by problems, and you can also be overwhelmed by support if you can't utilize it. Yeah. So typically now what I do is if a gym reaches out to us and we can use them for an operational reason right now, I bring them on really quick. And if I can't right now, I let them know. I said, we'll bring you on when we can, in the future. And I'm pretty upfront about that. We're looking to fill our operational needs first. That's the most important thing.
So you mentioned seminars as well before. Is that you guys going out and doing the seminars locally, or are you asking the gyms to put on seminars? Let's talk about that a little bit.
That was the original fundraising plan, was that the board would go out and raise funds through seminars. And when it was a really small operation, it was working, and it grew. And the need, it's a huge need. And that's part of why they ended up expanding into an ambassador network, where they were finding out that they could not fill the demand with that modality only. So the seminars what we started to do is have our local ambassadors put together seminars, whether they're a black belt or bringing in a black belt to do something regional, because that way the costs stay down. We're not paying for travel and lodging if we're not traveling, and there's still usually enough of a pool. So maybe, you end up, your fixed costs are less in that case.
Yeah.
And we'll still send the board members out from time to time to do seminars, but we're casting a wider net in terms of activities that we're willing to do. You talked about how can these gyms help us that want to be training facilities for us. Well, one of the ways that they can do, you don't have to be a training facility to have an open mat for us.
Yeah.
To say, hey, everybody, 4th of July, we're going to throw an event and we're going to donate the mat fee to We Defy.
Okay.
That's the kind of help that we really need now, because we don't have a hard time finding veterans.
Okay.
We don't have a hard time finding gyms. The funding is the hard part.
Okay.
And anybody can help with that.
Okay.
Anybody can help us on that path to open up and fund more vets.
So anybody that's listening now, besides, obviously, nobody's going to a seminar anytime soon, unless it's an underground seminar. Where could somebody go? They hear this. We'll put a link in our bio. Where do we go if we want to donate right now? $5, $500, $5,000. What do we do? Where do we go?
I go on our website. We have a donate now button there.
Okay.
And that's the easiest way to do it. And you can do a one-time donation, you can do a recurring donation, and things like that.
All right.
If you're interested in providing more or being involved, whether it's as an ambassador or as a school, anything like that, there's an info account, info at wedefyfoundation.org, and those emails go to a couple of us, but I get them all. Mm-hmm. And then I every time I get one, I let the person know, here's what we have needs for. Here's how you can help us.
Okay.
Here's how we can utilize you, whether it be an ambassador. A lot of times when people are asking about schools, if I don't have an opening for them at the time, then I'll ask them, would you like to be an ambassador for now until we're ready to add a school in that location, things like that.
Okay.
So
without, this is kind of maybe going to be a weird question, and just to get your, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, just to get your feel of what's going on. The outlook right now for these gyms is pretty grim. Last week we had Jason Scully. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that name. We had him on from the Grappler's Guide, and he was donating, or he basically raised money by donating 40% of his profits from any new memberships. And last I checked, I think he was right. He had raised 20 grand. He put 10 grand in himself to get it started, and he had raised somewhere around 20 grand. I think he's going through mid-April. He's going to be raising money, and then he's going to be.
I think it's 23rd.
Is it the 23rd? Okay.
I think so.
It's 23rd or the 25th. It's
right around there, towards the end of the month. So, and that's not a nonprofit organization.
No.
That is a for-profit.
Yeah.
Taking their money and trying to help other for-profits, trying to help the community.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think for us, the Travis Larson, the board president, and I have talked about. We have funding needs, we have schools we want to support, but man, right now, everybody needs.
Yeah.
Support. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a tough environment right now, because how do you approach potential donors and say, would you like to support veterans at the moment? And that's not that they shouldn't be, but there's a lot of needs out there right now.
Yeah.
And we can't operate without those gyms.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to support our partners.
Yeah.
In our previous model, or what we've been doing up until this crisis, was we're supporting our veterans that we've approved with the help of these partners. Mm-hmm. But now our partners need help. Yeah. That's part of why we're going to do everything we can to keep funding our partners, even though they're closed. For them to keep billing us so that we can try to give. Something. I know it's small, but it's something that we can try to do. But I don't know. I don't have a good answer for what this is going to look like. I'm certainly not an expert in this field.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing that I think, at least in terms of hope, and that's amazing, is what we've seen the jiu-jitsu community at large do for each other. Mm-hmm. In terms of offering free videos and Zoom classes and reaching out to each other. On Discord, which is a gaming app, for communication. My gym has started. We had a coach start breaking down matches on there.
Yeah.
We just had a ambassador. He's working with his gym right now to see if they can open up their online classes to all of our sponsored athletes.
Okay.
So that just came up yesterday.
Because not every gym is getting online and doing Zoom classes, and not everybody can do it. Some of these gym owners have regular jobs. Some of them are essential employees. Some of them did this. Gym opens at 3 for the kids program, or personally, I'm worried. I'm worried for the gyms. I'm worried for the community. For the entire fitness community is being hit. Obviously, I'm in the jiu-jitsu world. I mean, it looks bad. I'm not sure what kind of help they're going to get from the government. I'm not sure how landlords are going to, if they're going to forgive, months of rent and lease payments. So it is a little scary. But again, if you guys can think of anything that we could do, or that you're going to be doing, that we can announce here, let's get it out to the masses.
Yeah, we will.
So have a little bit of a speed round. Oh, before we get into our speed round, I mean, non-jiu-jitsu related, F16 Pilot. I mean, this is like the coolest thing ever. How many times am I going to have like an F16 Pilot on, to talk about? I mean, that's just got to be the most amazing thing. You sound like the look in your face is kind of like, it's kind of cool, and everybody thinks it's really cool. I mean, what can you tell us about that? How amazing is that? That job?
Everybody thinks it's cool except my wife. She doesn't care.
No.
She has never cared.
No.
No, it never like all the time cruise. You get a lot of girls saying it's not. I mean, I think you still got to be good looking and tall. So the pilot thing never really helped there. I didn't attract the woman that cared about it one bit.
Were you married before or after becoming the F16 Pilot?
I met her while I was in training.
Okay. All right.
And she was not
impressed.
No, I had to wear her down a little bit. So.
I mean, amazing job. We live. It's funny. Bo and I, Bo behind the camera, and my producer, we were talking about. I lived on the water in Fort Lauderdale during 9/11, and he just mentioned to me now that he's hearing I think they're F-16s. I know they were F-16s during 9/11. We can hear them, when you're close to the water, you just hear them flying up and down. I'm not sure if they're actually doing something because of this whole situation with COVID, but I know during 9/11, they were every few hours. I mean, you would probably know. I don't know if it was, if that was something that you did, but, we'd hear them going up and down the coast all day, every day. And it was a very comforting feeling. We were talking about that. It's very, very comforting to know that was something that was happening,
It's funny because when we don't live near a base anymore, but when we did, even though I said my wife doesn't care about the flying, that noise never bothered her. She said the same thing. She goes, that was a comfort to her, especially, when I think probably when I was gone in Iraq.
Yeah. Too,
that life was going on, that, there were still people out there trying to take care of each other and serve and that kind of thing. I think that not having that around, she said it was comforting.
Yeah.
To hear that sound. It was a familiarity to it. I can tell you that sitting in my little home office here, not hearing all the cars in the street is weird. That's discomforting.
Yeah.
To me a
yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
And I hear airplanes more now because there's less of a din of other sounds. So when the airliners go above, they are easier to hear now.
Yeah.
Because there's less noise in general. It is it's a disconcerting thing.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had become an airline pilot. Is that something that you still do? Is that what you? Yep. That's the 9 to 5.
My normal person job.
9 and 9.
Yeah.
All right, so let's. I mentioned we have a little speed round of questions, and we ask this of all of our guests, and all the hosts have answered as well. So I'm just going to give you a kind of like a rundown, and you could, I call it a speed round, but you don't have to give us the quickest answers in the world.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one. If you go back in time, the moment before you stepped on the mat for the very first time, the first time you ever did any jiu-jitsu, what would you tell the white belt you? What would you tell yourself?
It's okay to suck.
That's a good one. We haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, and that comes from my my fighter pilot background, because the military does not teach you. I've said this a lot now. The military does not teach you to deal with failure.
Yeah.
It teaches you that failure is horrible.
Really?
And that's because the stakes are high. But I think they go a little bit overboard or maybe I should say I took that thought a little overboard, I think, in that if I'm not perfect, catastrophe will happen. And jiu-jitsu has taught me that failure is so important to learning. You don't have to fear, you shouldn't fear failure, or you shouldn't let the fear of failure impact your ability to perform. And failing on the mat over and over and over has made me way better at that. And I would actually say it would be better for me now to go tell a young fighter pilot TJ that. Don't be afraid to screw up and don't be afraid to suck, because you're going to be better afterwards. And it took me being in my 40s with jiu-jitsu to figure that part out.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna answer this one because I think my answers have changed a little bit. With this new injury, I've kind of said this before. This part I've said before, but now I have a different take on it. I should say, taking care of my body. I started at an older age. I started right before my 41st birthday. So taking care of my body, being careful, and not being scared to tap. Because I could have tapped to this. I could have and should have tapped to this. I felt it, but it was a new kind of pain. I'm a purple belt, so I'm definitely in a gym where we didn't do a lot of legs. You're not doing a lot of legs until you're a high purple or you're getting to brown. So I was in a lockdown. Somebody had me in a lockdown and just was kind of moving my leg and trying to sweep me. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Pop?" So again, ego aside, tap often, tap early, tap often. That's what I would probably go back and say. So other than achieving the rank of black belt, what is your ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu?
I think it's to use it and to bring it to as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And, I'm very fortunate. I'm very goal oriented and I tend to accomplish a lot of things that I set. My first goal was purple belt because it looked so impossible to get to when I first started.
Yeah. And,
I'm not there yet. Black belt is something that is the ultimate goal someday.
Yeah.
Big tournament wins. I got to do a fight to win. I have set little baby goals all the way.
Yeah.
And I'm able to tick them off as I go. But the one goal that I'll never be able to like thumbs up or thumbs down because it's nebulous is just keep helping other people to find this practice.
Yeah.
And to help them in a way that this program is sustainable long term.
Yeah. And
that we expand what we can offer to veterans, because I see how it helps them. And it's such a cliche, jiu-jitsu saved my life, but I have ambassador applications from former athletes. I have ambassador applications from people that were never in the military that literally say that jiu-jitsu kept them alive.
Yeah.
And I think that even though I've got my own personal goals, that piece is the most important thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So next question, number 3 or 4. So what's the craziest jiu-jitsu related thing that's ever happened to you on or off the mat? This is always a weird one. This is a thinker. A lot of people always answer with their injuries and things like that. Or
let's see. Okay, so I've seen it. I was rolling with a person when their ACL got mostly torn. I did a throw and somebody posted and dislocated his elbow and broke his arm.
Ouch.
So those were pretty crazy.
Okay.
Thinking about injury wise, but I think at least the most unexpected one was probably that Worlds win.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I actually I wrote something that morning at 3:00 in the morning. I didn't sleep the night before, so I wrote something at 3 a.m. I called it the naysayer. I did another podcast with a friend of mine about it, and it's basically that we all have a voice in our head that's telling us what we can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win at Worlds. You have no business being here. You're just a blue belt. You're just some old guy. Look at all those other people that are there. What if I, and it starts when you first start competing too. It's like, what if I lose? Is my whole team going to think I suck because I lost?
Yeah.
I don't want to lose. I hate losing, So I'm thinking all this stuff in my head the day of my matches. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, but none of that's true. Like, I've been on the mats. I've worked just as hard as everybody else. I've won matches. I've lost matches. Like, the only thing I can really go out there and do is just have fun.
Yeah.
And over the course of 4 hours, I wrote this Facebook post called The Naysayer, just about not listening to those voices. Listening to the other voices that know that you did put in the hours. You did, choosing, because we all have these thoughts. Which ones matter and which ones can you discard? So when I got there, I walked out, through the portal with nothing but a smile on my face, just excited to compete.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I win the first match, it's going to be awesome. I just want to. If I can win one match, that's a success. And I started going in like that. You know how they say, well, how many games do you have this year? Well, we have one. The next one. Right? You hear about NFL players talk about that, right? Well, how many playoff games do we have to win? Just one. This one.
Yeah.
So that's the way I thought about it. So it was my turn. The guy that I was up against was from Henzo's in New York, and the next match over was Gordon Ryan. And I was like, I'd never been in an environment.
What am I doing here?
So I won a match.
Yeah.
And then I won another match, and I won the whole thing. And that was crazy to me, because I didn't feel like I had done anything that made me deserve to go compete in that environment. I just showed up.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people say to me, like, well, that's pretty neat, won a world championship, especially if they don't really know jiu-jitsu or they don't understand how those brackets are set up.
Yeah.
That it's literally, you don't have to be the best in the world to go to Worlds. All you got to do is show up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, it means everything and it means nothing.
Yeah.
Because even though I have a world championship, all it means is I was the best 40-year-old, 160-pound blue belt that showed up that day. And that's all it means.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have it, and it was crazy to be in that environment. And I think the only other feeling in the moment of accomplishment that I had, like, that was graduating from pilot training and then graduating from the Air Force Academy. So I would put this up there with those sort of accomplishment things.
Yeah.
But it also means nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, but I can tell you it was the craziest day of emotions.
You mentioned Gordon Ryan. I had the opportunity to go to the last Jits Kings event in Miami. And at the end of the show, we were talking to the guys that run the Jits Kings event. Shout out to Eddie. We were talking about, how we could work with them. And Gordon Ryan came by with his girlfriend, Natalia. And, it's like, I don't want to ask this guy for a picture. I don't want to be the fanboy.
Yeah.
But one of the guys that I was with was trying to get Natalia's attention to take a picture. And Gordon turns and looks, and I'm like, oh no. And he's like, Natalia, one of your fans, go. Like, he encouraged her to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think this whole mystique around him, the personality that he shows, he's actually a really nice guy. It's the trying to be the heel. I think he'll admit he takes it to another level with trying to be a heel, but definitely changed my outlook on him when I saw that. And I said, most guys, if he was really the heel, he would have been like, get the hell away from me. What do you go away? And and they went and they took the picture, and it was really nice about it, and just it definitely changed my outlook on the type of person that that public persona that he's put on.
When he was up here for a seminar not long ago, I wasn't at it, but everybody that was there that I've talked to said he was so gracious and humble in person, that he was just really kind and patient, and loved taking the pictures. And when we were setting up the donation stuff for SubStars, we didn't come to them.
Yeah,
they came to us.
Oh, that's awesome.
They asked us, hey, what they said was, we're interested in helping to support a nonprofit, especially veterans or first responders wise, would you be interested in and would you talk to us about your program so we can pick who we'd like to support? So I talked to I didn't get a chance to really talk to him specifically, and we had it was mostly through his manager. Mm-hmm. But what I took from the talk with his manager is that what he and Gary have wanted to do is find a way to use their platform to help somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's been very clear in all my interactions with them as a group, that's why they wanted to do the SubStars thing the way they did it.
Okay.
To help take their platform and elevate somebody else with it.
Okay.
Which is a really neat thing. To be approached like that.
We had the SubStars guys on before that Miami event, and obviously I'm sure you know what's happened. You can tell me no comment if you need to. Were you guys able to get that money that they had pledged or that they were going to be donating?
That's all up to Gordon's manager.
Okay.
To figure out.
Okay.
So we're not going to worry about that at all. But I have talked to the manager, and it's in their hands to figure it out.
All right.
But I'll tell you.
I didn't know if that was coming directly from SubStars or from them, so I actually thought it was probably coming directly from SubStars.
Yeah. No. It's that's all up to.
Testy subject. I get it.
No, but see, it is, and it's not, because what I can say about it is what they provided for us in terms of exposure.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the number of follows that we gained every time that Gordon Ryan made a post about it, or Gary Tonin made a post about it. Our social media guy was texting us and saying, "Did you see the activity today?"
Yeah.
I mean, if we never see a penny of a donation, I mean, that's completely out of our hands. Okay. And it's unfortunate that some things worked out the way they did so far. But if you're looking at it in terms of what's the cumulative effect, we gained a tremendous amount of exposure.
That's great.
Because two guys wanted to help.
That's great.
And it cost us nothing.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I have to look at it as a win for us.
Okay. Side note, and I know that I spoke to Anthony about this when we had our second call about the ambassador program. We had started the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Foundation, where we were going to be doing scholarships, one-year scholarships for veterans, first responders, and children in need. Fast forward, we found We Defy. We decided to work with you guys on that instead. So we did raise a few dollars. We raised a few $100s. That'll be coming your guys' way.
That's fantastic.
We haven't closed out the GoFundMe yet, so there'll be we'll make sure that we get that. I'll probably just go through the donation the button on your website, and we'll get that money to you. We'll probably be closing that in the next month or so. Not a lot, not a ton, but definitely a few $100s, and I'm sure that every bit helps. That'll be happening soon. So and again, more than happy to point it that way.
The way I'm thinking about money we get right now, and of course we're always trying to increase our funding to put more veterans through later, but our focus right now is providing funds to our partners that are hurting right now.
Yeah.
The money we get now, it's not going to be used to expand the program the way we'd like to, because we can't with everything else going on. But what we're going to be using it for is to fulfill our contracts that we have right now to the gyms that are hurting. You know, that we can hopefully continue to help them pay their bills.
Very cool. I wanted to go back, and you said something before. You were talking about when you mentioned Gordon and being in this. You're on this mat. Who am I? You win the world. I'm just an ordinary guy. I was actually in a situation many years ago, and there was a very wise man. I was in it was a group counseling session, and there was a guy that was probably in his 60s at the time, and most of the people were probably under 35, probably 20 to 35, a group of about 10 people. And he sat there and he listened to people complain about their lives and just the different things that were going on and the different things that they thought were going to happen. And he stopped everybody and he said, "We worry about human beings. We worry so much, and we project things that onto ourselves that never happen. Whether it's paying your power bill or your car payment. Did you drive here today? Yes. So you made that car payment. You got it done, right? We worry and we just kind of probably worry too much about things that are never going to happen." And again, to kind of mesh with what you were saying, it's like, sometimes we just have to get out of our own way. The guy standing across from you on that mat, he's just a man, bleeds just like you.
Yeah.
There's nothing any more special about him. Okay, maybe he's trained a little bit longer. Maybe he's got a more famous, coach, professor, but he is just a man. And if he can do it, you can do it, So I've taken that one thing that guy said had changed my life because I was the worrier. I was the, woe is me guy. I was always worried about how am I going to pay that bill? And just got out of my own way. Stop thinking about it. Think about what's right in front of me, attack that, tackle that, finish that, move on to the next.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of throw that in. So, okay, we got our last question. TJ, this is a big one. This is, I tell people, this is probably the most important question that you'll ever answer in your jiu-jitsu career. Okay, a lot of young jiu-jitsu practitioners are listening. We've kind of found this fan base of white to purple, I think, is like our core. Now, they're going to follow in your lead on this one. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you, and why, okay, do you wash your gi belt?
Yeah.
All right. Usually there's a whole bunch of people started yelling and arguing about it in the room with me. We've got a hashtag going, hashtag Team Wash Your Belt. Junior and the rest of my co-hosts do not wash their belts. So my last two guests, I just want everybody to note, my last two guests, Jason Scully and TJ Kreutzer, both wash their belts, guys. And it's not. When you wash your belt, does it wash away your skills?
No.
Does it wash away the magic?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
good. We have a huge argument about that on the show. It's like,
I think it's just basic hygiene, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I thought it was. Apparently, I'm wrong. No, you're supposed to let the sweat and the grime wear the color away and never wash it. And it doesn't get stinky and it doesn't get dirty. And
you wash it.
What's that? Say again.
The more you wash it, the more it fades.
Yeah.
I think the redder it looks, it makes you look even tougher.
Jason Scully said the same thing or something along those lines. Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity, TJ. Thank you so much for coming on the show. But do you have any shout outs, gym, training partners, sponsors, anybody? This is your time.
Yeah, I think, Monkey Tape's been a huge supporter for We Defy Foundation. Grappling Industries, I already mentioned them once before. Mm-hmm. Those are great events. I think they're pretty customer centric. And they've been hugely supportive of us. Fuji has been they run things differently than Grappling Industries in terms of the way that their distribution is set up. But we've been working with some of them, some of their regional guys a little bit as well, and they've been awesome in terms of allowing us to do the things we want to do. Gyms, like I said, M Theory in Minneapolis. Minnesota Top Team, my home gym, Pedro Sauer affiliation. And then I think the last thing I just want to throw out there is, everybody's fighting right now. Mm-hmm. And we're vet focused, right? But the message of the needs of vets right now it's not as loud as the fact, because everyone right now needs help. Mm-hmm. First responders need help. Healthcare workers, the guys running delivery food need help. Grocers, people losing their jobs. The world's hurting in a lot of ways right now, whether you agree or don't agree with actions that are taken. The reality of it is there's a lot of people hurting right now.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to be kind to other people and take care of each other as best you can and fight. Find a way to make yourself a little bit better every day.
Yeah. And
don't lose this time. And even if that feels like pressure, we're not meant to be teaching our kids at home, most of us. This isn't our normal life. Whatever you're doing to cope and whatever you're having to cope with, the job you're doing is good enough.
Awesome.
That's what I want people to think about. We're all dealing with something. Everybody has a story, and everybody's dealing with something.
Yeah. Wise words to end on. Thank you so much, TJ. We appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it.
Like I said, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but anything that we could do to help you guys out, let's talk to your team there. Let's schedule something in the next couple of months for somebody else to maybe come on the show. Let us know when you're doing open mats. Let us know when things start to turn around, or what the plan is going forward. We'd love to have you or any of the other guys back on the show, and let's keep on spreading the word. We're here for you guys.
Yeah. I'd love to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, man. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here, some of our giveaways and things like that, but I'll let you run.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks.
Take care, TJ.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was awesome, man. Great guy, right? Wow. Again, F16 fighter pilot, man. That's just amazing. Fanboying out on that one. So everybody just stick around for a little bit. We're just going to go over some of our giveaways. That's our thing. We want to get stuff, and especially now, we want to get stuff into your hands, and we're not going to stop our giveaways. So, first of all, on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're not, get over to YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. All right. Your comment is going to enter you to win a $50 gift card from the Jiu-Jitsu Dummy shop. That's jujitsudummies.shop. All right. We didn't do any listener questions today. Some of the questions that I got were kind of general and were submitted by multiple people. So it's hard to give away to, 10 different people. But we're going to give that winner on YouTube one bottle of CBD as well from Fightback CBD. And we usually give away 2 bottles. So we'll figure out how to get that second bottle into a listener's hands. All right. But don't forget, you can still support Fightback CBD, fightbackcbd.com. Use code JJD, and you'll get 15% off your order at Fightback CBD. Justin over there at Fightback is doing an amazing job. He's just another guy, like Jason Scully last week, like TJ this week. He's been with us since the beginning, and he does a great job. Fightback is supporting people in need, people with substance abuse issues. He helps them find jiu-jitsu as well. So we're just surrounded by an incredible community, and we love it. You can go check out the podcast store again at jujitsudummies.shop. You can get 10% off your order with coupon code DummiesPod17. All right. We just added the ranked rash guards. Got mine here. This is my purple. That one's for Junior over there. This little tiny one over here. This is for Junior. This is a schmedium. That's Junior's there. Extra small. We've added backpacks, coffee mugs. Do I have my white hat on? No, I don't have. We've added a really cool jiu-jitsu trucker hat to the website. We've added Jiu-Jitsu Dummy Foundation backpacks and coffee mugs. So anything that we talk about on the show that you've seen is available on the website. Anyone out there that would like to work with us, sponsor the show, donate products for giveaway, please reach out. All of our social media, I'm the guy that answers at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our contact form on jujitsudummies.com, not .shop, but .com, or you can send an email to info@jujitsudummies.com. On the website, there's a form to either get involved with the show. They're both on the contact page. There's 2 forms side by side. You can either suggest a guest that you'd like to have us on that you'd like us to have on the show, or you can, again, submit questions, make suggestions, or if you're a company that wants to get involved, you can fill out one of those forms. So thank you guys for the submissions we've got. We're working on some cool sponsors and giveaways coming soon. Podcast patrons. For March, I let one of the patrons know that they were a winner. I'm not going to announce it now. I'm going to hold off. We just aren't able to ship the packages right now. Unable and kind of don't want to right now. We don't want to be sending anything in the mail given the corona situation, but we are going to be sending out those 2 flow kimono gis along with a bunch of other stuff, mugs, decals, some cool stuff, patches, Jiu-Jitsu Dummies patches. So we're going to get those out, but we want to announce it when we are kind of maybe through this and things get back to a little bit back to normal. You can still support us on patreon.com/Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, right? For every $5 that you're donating, you are actually, it's like, think of it like a raffle ticket into our podcast patron and listener giveaway. This is the first time you're hearing me say this. We are also going to include people who submit questions that we use on the show into that pool. So we're going to give away 2 $100 packages, whether it's a $100 gift card to the shop, to the Jiu-Jitsu shop, jiu-jitsu-dummies.shop, I should say, or swag that we've won, like we won the kimonos, or just stuff that that companies are working with us and want to give away. Okay. So again, patreon.com/jiu-jitsu dummies. You can go on. It starts at $5 and it goes anywhere up to $100. We've got some cool gym shout out packages that we've added. We've got a sponsorship package that we've added. So when you go to the website, click on see all options and it'll open up. There are 9 different packages that you can use or purchase and pledge money to the show, but get shout outs. Gyms are going to get shout outs. We'll talk about whatever specials you're running, especially now with everything that's going on. We'll be able to get you guys some exposure as we come out on the tail end of this thing. All right. Shout out to our newest patrons, Michael Pixley Jr. and Jason Smiley. We really appreciate you guys. Welcome aboard. I hope to be sending you some cool stuff soon. Eric Perkins, Britt Tover, James Fisher. We love you guys. CJ Carroll, Mission 22, Chuck Red Door out in Hawaii, Damian Soto, Roberto Santiago here in Florida. Thank you all for being podcast patrons. We love you guys. We love getting you guys stuff. We love giving away T-shirts and gift cards. Please use them. You know, a couple of you guys haven't used them yet. Go ahead, send some. We're still printing. We're still shipping out when it comes to the shop. All right, and we're going to add We Defy to our patron shout outs from now on. The We Defy Foundation doing incredible things for their community. We hope to be doing a lot more with them in the near future. All right. If you want to become an ambassador, just log on to We Defy. We'll put the link in the donation and the ambassador link in the description on the podcast. You can check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can check me out on Instagram at Uncle Milty BJJ. My friends have been calling me Uncle Milty since I was in the 3rd grade. I used to hate it. Now it's my Instagram handle. The Jiu-Jitsu Dummies Foundation, you can find us on Instagram at the JJD Foundation, on Twitter at the JJ Dummies FDN, and our GoFundMe is still in the description. Any of that money that's raised, we're going to get that to We Defy. So if you're donating to us, you're donating to them. All right. We still want to start the sponsorships, the Jiu-Jitsu scholarships. I believe we're going to, since we're working with We Defy on the Veterans Program, we're going to probably reformat the foundation, and it looks like we're probably just going to be doing scholarships to kids in need. All right. Don't want to really drop the first responders, but I think our focus is gonna lie there. All right. So again, anything that's donated now until we shut down the GoFundMe is going to go to We Defy, and then we'll kind of announce the next GoFundMe and exactly where that money's going to go and how much we're going to be donating to children in need. So that's it, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate you guys checking us out. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay home, and thank you guys for listening. Take care, guys. Us.